everybody, it's Brian.
Jason.
And this is the Perfectly Screwed Podcast. I like how I did that at the end.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm having some Irish coffee this morning.
Oh, really? What do you got in there?
Beam, and a lot of it.
Oh,
I didn't realize.
I thought maybe you went with like Jameson or something actually Irish.
No. Well, just some bourbon. But what I did not realize is the amount of bourbon I put in the cup until, well, it was too late. So
It's already in.
Yeah, it's in. So I was like, well, this is a little less coffee and a lot more bourbon than I thought it was going to be.
Get you warmed up. I mean, that's the whole point, right?
It gets you something.
It's cold here. It's been nipply.
Outside, actually, it's not bad in this room. It's quite pleasant.
Right.
Quite pleasant. So what were we talking about? Oh, did you hear they took Trump off the ballot in like Maine or Massachusetts or some shit now?
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Colorado. Yeah, he's all up in arms about the whole shit, claiming, that's not democracy. Which
So
it
what,
isn't. I agree with him.
Basically, that means what? In those states, he's not getting voted for?
I mean, you can still write him in, so it doesn't really prevent anything. I mean, hell, I could get on the internet and start a campaign if people wanted to write my name the fuck in.
Man.
I could be president.
We should.
Yeah. Brian for the office.
I mean, you got the last name for it.
Yeah, Kennedy. Yeah, I got a last name to get shot
It's
in the
about
face.
time we get another Kennedy in office.
It's about time we assassinate another
You have
one.
plenty of people trying to assassinate
Oh,
your
yes.
ass.
Just for the name alone. I'd have people left and right trying to take pop shots at me just for the name alone.
I know. I don't know if I'm exactly ready to see your brain splattered all over the place. But
They'd be doing a
Zapruder film.
They'd be doing a podcast about me here
Right.
in a few years. Hey,
Watch
I'm
here,
telling you,
let's-
it was that dude on the grassy knoll.
Let's slow this down to slow motion and watch Brian's brain splatter all over Elm Street.
It was the dude on the grassy knoll, I swear to God.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely was. So where were we? We were talking about the Boston Strangler on the last episode. This is, by the way, if you have not listened to episode 105, I don't actually know what episode we're on. 107? So if you haven't listened to 105 and 106, listen to that first. I labeled that wrong. I labeled it 106 and it's supposed to be 107.
Oh, well.
That's going to confuse me later on.
Oh, yeah, it's going to screw you.
Yeah. No, it won't, because I'll actually fix it in post here in a minute. But
Right, yeah.
I fucked up.
Or
That's what I
episode
did.
107, yeah.
Yeah, I'll be like, why is there like 2 episode 106s and they're not talking about the same thing?
Yeah,
Okay.
this is part 3 of the Boston Strangler.
Part 3 of the Boston Strangler. And we were about ready to talk about George. I don't really know how you say his last name. Nassar.
Oh, yeah.
Nasir.
His cellmate.
Yeah. So George Nassir was an American murderer to whom Albert DeSalvo allegedly confessed to being the Boston Strangler in late 1965. Nassar contacted his attorney, lawyer F. Lee Bailey, which is funny because that was also DeSalvo's attorney. So,
Wasn't he an attorney for O.J. Simpson, too?
Bailey? Well, I'm sure not the same guy.
F. Lee Bailey?
I'm sure. Well, he might have been. I don't know. Might have been the same guy.
I can't remember if he was
that was 30 years later for OJ.
OJ's
So
lawyer or if he was on the other side. I can't remember, but he was definitely an attorney in the OJ case.
well, it might have been another F. Lee Bailey.
I just have a hard time believing there's 2 F. Lee Baileys.
Oh, look it up. Google it.
You know what I mean?
That's what we do. We Google and then we find out. That's the joys of technology. Otherwise, we'd be doing this podcast with a whole encyclopedia rack behind our asses.
Did wrong.
Right, yeah.
Can you imagine?
Hold on, let me find this.
The old days.
So, anyways, he contacted F. Lee Bailey, which, again, I think there's a bit of a conflict of interest here, because who's he really working for? I mean, he's DeSalvo's attorney, but he's also Nassir's attorney.
Yeah.
And
he was
right. I mean,
F. Lee Bailey was
he was an O.J. Simpson guy.
he was a member of the Dream Team.
He must have been like 70 years old.
In the
Good
trial
God.
of former football player O.J. Simpson, who was accused of murdering Nicole Brown. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he was a defense attorney then too in 1965. So he must have still been alive.
Yeah.
Still kicking around there.
Well, he didn't die. When he died he died in 2021, and he was 87. So, yeah, I mean, he was just he was a young attorney because he was born in 33.
Yeah, he was a young attorney when he did. He was in his 30s when in the 60s.
Yep.
So, but see, Nassir's important because he's the only reason that the police started focusing on DeSalvo to begin with. And a lot of people, because Nassir is clearly a murderer also,
Yeah.
a lot of people believe that it's either possible that Nassir was the original Boston Strangler, or that him and DeSalvo were working together.
Right.
See, because in recent times, within the last few years, I think like 2012, 2013, they did a DNA match and found out that DeSalvo's DNA was at the final victim's crime scene.
Correct.
So they know DeSalvo had something to do with it, but they don't think DeSalvo possibly worked alone, which is the big question.
I think we talked about that last episode. It just doesn't seem like...
It doesn't seem like he's the type of guy
The circumstantial evidence doesn't
Yeah.
point to him being the lone killer.
No.
But obviously, your DNA just doesn't get up and walk itself into a crime scene.
Right. So, but
it seems more like he was like huddled in the corner, beating off, maybe.
yeah,
Yeah,
while Nassir does the strangling,
Nassir's doing the strangling and the raping. DeSalvo, and I mean, DeSalvo kind of had that kind of mindset, you know. He was kind of a outsider, weirdo. He seems like it would be kind of his thing to huddle off in a corner and jerk off.
Well,
get it, George. Get it, George.
Well, see, also
strangle the fuck out of Joker.
George is a career criminal. That's one thing we got to understand. I mean, he was convicted of robbery in 1948. He went on a robbery spree and netted all of $80. So,
well, back then it was probably more like 200, 300. So,
well, hell, there's a mastermind. Jesus, let's lock it down for George.
Right?
Yeah.
$80.
He also killed a shopkeeper during this. He had a nickel-plated revolver. He was charged with auto theft. He was also charged with that murder of killing that guy for the $80. So he went to prison for that. Then in 1964, he brutally murdered a 44-year-old Texaco station owner, Irvin Hilton, in full view of Rita Buitt and her 14-year-old daughter, Diane. He fired one shot into the kneeling Hilton and three more after he crumbled to the floor. Then he approached Buitt's car and tried to get her to open up. He failed to do that, and he jumped into another car and drove off. So, first of all, he gets convicted in the 40s for killing a guy and robbing him. Then he does it again in the 60s. So,
he's just like you said, a career criminal.
Right.
And there's just people like that, man. There's people like that. They'll steal $80. You fucking get in their way, they'll fucking shoot your ass and grab the first car they see, and down the road they go. They don't give a fuck.
Well, not only that, Nassir was also a schizophrenic. He was a paranoid schizophrenic. He had visions they know about. He was sent to a cell next to DeSalvo, and then he comes up with this story. See, there's another thing. You got a known schizophrenic who's a career criminal, who's in jail for murder, looking at life. I mean, of course he's going to come and go, hey, by the way, this dude,
Yeah.
I mean, and so you already got a guy who's mentally ill, and he's a career criminal. I mean, is it much of a leap to think he might be around strangling old women? Now, of course, most of his crimes, also to be fair to this guy, wasn't of a sexual nature. There was no rapes involved in Nasir, and most of them he killed people because he was trying to rob them.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? Whereas the Boston Strangler was motivated purely by sexual intent and killed the women as an afterthought of the sexual, thing that was going on. So, but like I said, there was also the suspect from Harvard, the David Marsh guy, who his real name wasn't David Marsh. Some people refer to him as David Parker. Some even refer to him as David Parker Ray, who we talked about, the toy box killer. But he was investigated thoroughly, and he was clearly mentally ill beyond belief.
Oh, God, yeah.
And then he moved to Michigan, and the same type of murders in Michigan started happening, and he was questioning those murders also released from those murders, and another guy was pinned for the murders in Michigan, but it was almost the exact same type. Strangulation, rape, murder of women in the Michigan area when this dude moved to Michigan.
Yeah. And so these Boston Strangler murders, the last victim he let live, correct? This is where the DeSalvo allegedly let her live.
Yes.
Correct?
Well, the last one DeSalvo attempted to rape, he didn't even try to hurt.
Yeah.
That's what DeSalvo actually was convicted on, was the rape of that chick. He was never... See, that's the thing. He was never charged, tried, or convicted of the Boston Strangler murders.
Yeah.
No one was. The murder stopped after... Well, see, that's the other weird thing. The David, whoever he was, guy, David Parker, we'll call him David Parker because that's how they refer to him. He moved to Michigan. Okay, around that same time, George got arrested for that, where he shot the gas station guy. Okay, around the same time, DeSalvo got arrested for raping that chick but not killing her. So all three of them kind of coincided, and then the murders just stopped.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the question. Who was doing it?
One of the three, right?
Right. It's one of you three, but
right.
we're not entirely sure whom.
Right.
Right. But since DeSalvo kind of confessed to the murders, even though he got like a lot of the facts wrong.
Yeah.
And based that now we have his DNA at a crime scene, they kind of pin it on DeSalvo.
That also, to me, shouts out that DeSalvo was not the actual Boston Strangler, but that he was with and working with one of the other two that were.
Mm.
Because it would make sense then that he would maybe try to go solo on a mission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To this
Especially
last victim, and then has a change of conscience. You know what I'm saying?
Well, see, and also what you could have had is say George is the one killing them.
Yeah.
DeSalvo's the one raping them.
Could be, yeah.
And they're in it together. And then when Nassar got locked up, DeSalvo tried to do it on his own, but he couldn't do the killing part.
See, that would make more sense to me because it still wouldn't, like I think I said last episode, even if you have a change of heart, a change of conscience in the middle of it, because you've already raped and killed so many... 13 different victims, 13 different women, you know what I mean? It makes zero sense to leave her alive.
Well, it doesn't
Makes
seem
zero
like...
sense. The only way it would make sense to leave her alive is if you've actually never killed anybody to begin
Exactly.
with. Right.
It doesn't seem like a seasoned serial killer that has killed 13 women and done this 13 times would ever have a change of heart right in the middle.
I think the Nassar dude's the Boston Strangler. And I think it's
I think it was more than one.
I think it's possible that this David Parker dude, I mean, obviously he committed crimes, but I don't necessarily think he's the Boston Strangler. I think he fucking figured out there was a Boston Strangler and fucking was like, well, fuck this. Somebody's already got this territory. And then he takes off to Michigan, you know what I mean?
And copies the crimes.
Copies the crimes, right.
That's possible, too.
Yeah.
But see, this is part of the reasons that people have a problem with this is that he was never charged.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest things.
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the big, well, because that's another possibility is that the Boston Strangler still lives free.
Well,
Because,
no.
nobody's ever been caught or convicted, but you'd have to think it was one of the three, especially since the crimes stopped happening. Like, that's too much of a coincidence.
Well, see, a lot of people believe that George Nassar may have manipulated to DeSalvo, manipulated him while he was in jail, claiming that there was going to be prize money. Because DeSalvo, wasn't the smartest match in the box there.
Easily manipulated, very gullible.
I mean, and they were both at Bridgewater State Hospital, and Nassar was already convicted of murder. And he shot the gas station attendant execution style during the robbery. Like, he made them get on their knees.
Wow.
Went behind them and shot them execution style. So he took his time killing these motherfuckers.
Yeah.
It wasn't just like, boom, I'm going to kill you and take your money. He had already had the money. Then he made them get on their knees and shot them just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
See, he became friends with DeSalvo at Bridgewater, and they were both overheard discussing the $10,000 reward money offered for the Strangler's arrest. And then all of a sudden, DeSalvo then was claiming to be the Boston Strangler. He was able to give some basic details about the Strangler's crimes to investigators, enough to bring in two eyewitnesses who had observed a stranger near one of the victim's apartments. Both said DeSalvo was not the person they saw. But they did say they observed Nasir during their visits, and both of them recognized him as the man they saw at the apartments when the women were killed. But the Boston Police Department never acted upon the information, which, come on, of course they did. Come on.
Why would they?
Why would they?
Right,
I mean, you already got your man, clearly. The psychic told you.
Right.
Not only did the psychic tell you, you got a convicted murderer here telling you what DeSalvo said, and he got DeSalvo. Sure, he gets some of the crime scenes wrong, but nobody's memory is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't remember everything about killing 13 women.
And it couldn't have been two people because the psychic said there was one.
Right. Exactly. Come on now.
Yeah.
Even though the witnesses claimed that Nassar was the one they saw at the residence, and they didn't know who the fuck DeSalvo was, that has no bearing on this case.
Yeah.
None.
No. Are those witnesses psychic?
I mean, what would eyewitnesses know?
Nothing.
What would people who saw Nassar walking into the building know anything about it?
What does anybody that's not a psychic medium know?
Exactly. We can't
possibly
trust these people.
We can't possibly be right.
They clearly
We can't possibly know.
They
saw things wrong.
They saw things wrong. It wasn't Nassar.
No.
Okay. No. Because he's the one that's telling you about it. Can't accuse the guy who's got all the information. God.
I mean, police are just...
I mean, he knows exactly what happened with all these crimes. We can't accuse him.
Right.
It's clearly DeSalvo. Clearly. No, I agree with you. I think Nassar and DeSalvo were working together.
Yeah.
I think they knew each other before Bridgewater, and that's why they continued to be good friends at the state hospital, because they already knew each other.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think DeSalvo was the one doing the raping, and Nassar was the one doing the murdering. Because, I mean, you wouldn't expect criminal types to, hang out or run together or anything.
Did Nassar have any, did any good come out of him? He basically said DeSalvo's the murderer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nassar, I mean, why would he do that? You know what I mean?
He said it was his conscience. He just he was such a good guy, you know. Yeah,
Right.
you know, people who normally execute gas station attendants have a stern moral belief that we can't let people get away with crime.
It just seems. It just. Yeah. It's just. I guess. Well, I guess it shouldn't be weird, but it just kind of seems a little odd that if they were working together and they were, friends in quotations, why now they're in jail and now all of a sudden he's going to turn on DeSalvo? But I mean, Nasser's just a piece of shit. Is really what it boils down to.
Okay, this is the one of the last things I'm going to say about this. Well, maybe not the last thing, but F. Lee Bailey also had an interest in DeSalvo being convicted. F. Lee Bailey was becoming well known as an up-and-coming attorney. Now, see, F. Lee Bailey eventually was disbarred for his unethical practices with his clients and for making money off of his clients. See, because it's only illegal for someone else to make money off their crimes. Like, if I commit a crime, I cannot write a book about my crimes and make money off it. That's illegal. But my attorney can.
Right.
Right. So, F. Lee Bailey had a special interest in this case to make his career balloon.
Yeah.
And because Nassar was already his client, and Nassar talked DeSalvo into hiring Bailey, and Bailey did it for free, it was in Bailey's best interest for his reputation to, hey, I solved the Boston Strangler murders.
Yeah.
I mean, he was all over the front page of the paper.
Right.
Bailey solved it. Cops couldn't do it, but we got Bailey over here. Thank God for Bailey.
The cops couldn't do it. The psychic couldn't do it.
Look, we got Bailey.
F. Lee Bailey.
Got her done.
Got her done.
Got her done.
And what year was the trial or whatever?
65.
Yeah, so he's 32.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's fresh out of
Right.
law school.
Right there, boy.
Yeah.
Getting right there, boy. That's the way to gain publicity.
Of course.
Yeah. So
I mean,
Bailey got him.
Yeah.
Bailey figured it out, tied it all up in a neat bow for everybody.
I ain't mad at him.
Right. And it didn't cost DeSalvo anything because DeSalvo was going to life in prison for raping that one bitch anyway.
Right.
So, and that was open and shut. And he wasn't even getting tried for the Strangler murder. So it didn't, I mean, it wasn't unethical on Bailey's part because all Bailey did, give information that his client supposedly said. Now, it's also noted that Nassar and Bailey talked about how to make money off the Boston Strangler murders, and later on, Bailey put a very large amount of money in Nassar's commissary fund in prison.
Right.
But I'm sure that had nothing at all to do with any of this. Sounds like a perfectly reasonable thing going on.
No, it's pure coincidence.
Coincidence.
Yeah,
I mean, Bailey was just trying to be a good
Just
Samaritan.
a good guy, man. He really grew fond of Nassar and thought he was a really good guy. He was just misunderstood. Of course, he made some mistakes.
I mean, and Bailey has no...
For the most part, Nassar lived a really good life. A good Christian upbringing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, you kill a couple guys, but
Yeah.
who hasn't?
Right. Right.
Who hasn't
We all
murdered
made mistakes.
Right. Who hasn't murdered a gas station attendant execution style? I mean, come on. Come on. Spur of the moment, drinking a little bit, Sounds like a good Saturday night to me.
I dare anyone who hasn't killed a fucking gas station attendant in execution style to throw the first stone.
Damn right. I mean, you get a little whiskey in you, Saturday night, sounds like a party.
What'd you do this weekend? You know what I mean?
I mean,
you mean to tell me you still haven't killed anybody at a gas station? Well, let's go.
and you are right, by the way. It says right here, he became a famous lawyer because of the Boston Strangler case. And that got him to represent O.J. Simpson and Dr. Sam Shepard.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a pretty nice career.
Yeah, popped him right up there, didn't he?
Yeah.
Right before he got disbarred.
Well,
nobody's perfect. I mean, he was in his 80s when he got disbarred, so they let him.
At that point, right?
They gave him a lot of string to hang himself.
Yeah.
Really, I mean, a little bit of unethical behavior, but
Not bad. Money's money.
See, also, here's one more thing before we end this. DeSalvo was told by Bailey. See, he was married to a German woman, and
Who?
DeSalvo.
Okay.
And he had some kids, and they were really financially poor. So he was told by Bailey and Nassar that if he confessed, there might be a lot of money come out of this whole Boston Strangler thing, and hell, his family
Be taken care of.
could be taken care of.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't get to. No money went to his family whatsoever, but
Well, it's
it was a good little thing.
Right, no, I mean, they tried. They wanted to. You know what I'm saying? It just kind of sounds like, it almost sounds like maybe DeSalvo was just a simple mind, you know what I mean? Not all there. Kind of a slow-witted sucker who got caught up with these wrong motherfuckers.
Well, they also said DeSalvo was known, when the psychiatrist analyzed him, that he would brag and admit to anything. He wanted to be famous.
Yeah.
So he wanted to be known. And he knew that he would get
His name out there. Yeah.
and he'd be remembered forever.
And he
as
wasn't
the Boston
wrong.
Strangler. Right, yeah.
He wasn't wrong.
And, again, what did it matter to him?
Right.
He was already going for life.
Sure.
There was life without the possibility of parole for breaking in this bitch's house and raping her.
Correct.
So, what's 13 more murders? If you're already doing life, it doesn't matter if you confess to 100 murders.
Yeah.
Because if you're never going to get out of prison anyways, it doesn't matter what you confess to.
Just a random raping.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be sitting here talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. He was already looking at life.
Yeah.
So what is 13 more
Last
matter?
and maybe it was his only, not only his last chance, his only chance to be famous.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, what does it matter? You've got
No, it
look.
doesn't.
If you're never getting out anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I mean, he could have admitted to killing President Kennedy at that point.
Yeah.
Who mattered? It
Absolutely.
didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know, I could have been.
Right.
You could claim to be Jack the Ripper. It wouldn't matter because you're already gone. You're never getting out. You might as well just tack on 13 more to my total, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck it.
Call me the Boston Strangler.
Yeah,
for all
call me
today.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because shit, I might get a little money admitting to being the Boston Strangler, whereas I'm getting no money saying I raped this bitch,
Yeah.
which you already know I did.
No publicity.
Right. And
Yeah.
you already know I raped this bitch.
Yep.
I mean, you got my nut insider, for God's sake.
Yeah.
I mean, no question there.
Right,
Everybody
my
knows
seeds
I did
all
this.
over the room.
Yeah. I came all over her face while she was tied to a bed. You know. I mean,
Yeah. For sure.
you got me on that one. I'm never getting out of jail, so fuck it. Well, anyways, I hope you guys like this 3-part on the Boston Strangler, and, well, we'll see you next time.
Later.